Okay. אין דבר יותר חשוב מהחטופים. כלום. There is nothing more important than our hostages. Nothing. The world is turned upside down. Right is wrong. Truth is a lie. A just war is genocide. The indigenous are colonizers. A liberal democracy is an apartheid state. Our friends and neighbors are protesting against Israel. They are chanting from the river to the sea, globalize the intifada, Israel go to hell, we don't want no two states, give us 48. Meanwhile, Jews have joined them. I'm exhausted, like you. I think we're all exhausted. Every day, our enemies make up new lies and our friends believe them. Every day, Jews among us abandon us, co-opt our history and practices, and join enemies who make us wonder if we're living in 1930s Europe. And then I think of my friend Ruby Chen, whose son Itai was murdered and taken hostage into Gaza. And I think of Rachel Goldberg Polin and her son Hirsch. And I think of Ayelet Levy and her daughter Naama. And I can't bear thinking about the pain that they are experiencing, missing their children, not knowing where they are and what's being done to them. They are fighting so hard every day. They are begging Israeli government and the US government and any government that will listen to them, and it seems as if no one hears them. How is it possible, when we are suffering as we are, that our friends and neighbors and so many of our own people are protesting against us? I have a few thoughts on this that I'd like to share. The first one isn't new, it isn't complicated, and it is not hopeful. It is simple, old, and terrifying. Blood libel. A blood libel is a lie told about our people, basically to justify genocide against us. Since before October 7th, since decades before October 7th, academics, journalists, and other intellectuals have been spreading the lie that we, the Jewish people, are a colonial power that stole the land of Israel from its indigenous people and then established an apartheid, genocidal state wherein we have systematically oppressed, maimed, mutilated, raped, murdered the indigenous Palestinian population. It is quite possibly the biggest, greatest lie ever told. The brilliance of this blood libel is that it isn't just simply made up like the old story that we killed a Christian child to make our matzah. It's much more insidious. It's an inversion, as Julie said. They took our story and our experience and they dared to claim that it for themselves, that it's their story. I don't have time to properly deconstruct this vicious blood libel. I did it before here, and I have a YouTube that's an hour long where I do it, so I'm happy to send it to you. Also, you're not really the audience that needs it, right? You know that we are the indigenous people of Israel, that we've maintained a continuous presence in that land for 3,000 years. You know that Zionism is our national liberation movement. It is not white supremacist Nazism. You know the truth. I know the truth. We need to spread the truth. But what do we do about the Jews who are leading anti-Semitic chants at Barnard and Columbia and at the University of Pittsburgh, who are spreading the vicious lie that we are committing a genocide, even though, in fact, we put our children, the brave soldiers of the IDF, we sacrifice them and put them in harm's way so as to minimize Palestinian casualties. What do we do about these Jews among us? If you believe you can talk sense to them, if you believe you can convince them, you just need to educate them, please do, please do. Otherwise, these Jews must be excluded from our tent. Many of them are Jews that when polled after October 7th, they said they believe, or at least somewhat believe, that Hamas was justified in its attack against Israel. Many of them do not believe in unconditional funding for Israel. Many of them support the BDS movement. And for too long, we have allowed them to flourish and grow and become stronger in our own community. What drove them to abandon us? I don't know if I really care, but I believe the answer to that is also quite simple and really not particularly hopeful. I believe they've simply abandoned themselves, and abandoning us is just a consequence of abandoning themselves. These Jews are lost. They don't care that they are part of one of the world's most resilient ancient people. They aren't interested in the fact that our people, religion, culture, history, and present offer all the answers to their deepest questions. Rather than look within, rather than join with their brothers and sisters, rather than studying the wisdom of our mystic teachings, they align themselves with our enemies. They disregard wisdom cultivated over thousands of years in favor of new age ideas that simply take our ancient wisdom, dumb it down, and sell it to a capitalist consumer. They don't even know it's rooted in Jewish teachings. They are captivated by geopolitical narratives that sound woke and progressive. They swallow geopolitical fairy tales fabricated by Islamists intent on spreading their illiberal ideas to Western intellectuals. These Jews are not new. We have always had traitors and deniers among us, capos and conversos, just to name two. What should we do about them, about the Jews that don't join us here for the hostages, but set up their own mourning tent on this very corner to mourn the Palestinians who have been killed in this war? What should we do about the Jews in the encampments who are holding anti-Zionist Passover Seders? What should we do about Jews who foolishly claim they're the fifth child at the Pesach Seder because they don't see that they are simply the contrary child? These Jews are speaking for us. They dare to speak for us even though they know that they represent fringe views that most Jews vehemently disagree with. They dare to speak with us regardless of whether they are members of our ancient tribe, whether they have been educated in Jewish history, regardless of whether they've ever been to Israel or have been active in our own community. They dare to speak to us when they know they are not speaking for us at all. They dare to speak for us and claim not in their name. The message we need to tell them is not in our name. They know they don't speak for us. They know they are speaking only for themselves. They are so concerned with approval from their non-Jewish world that they are willing to sacrifice their own ancient identities so as to be celebrated for being good Jews. And they're succeeding. The supreme leader of Iran is posting on social media, along with leaders of Hamas and the PFLP, thanking them for protests against us. After the Holocaust, Jewish communities set up courts across Europe to decide the fate of those who had collaborated with the Nazis. When found guilty, they were sentenced to banishment from their Jewish communities for a period of time. So too should we. Our community must speak in one unified voice, one where our commitment to our people and to Israel is beyond question. Our federation must not support Jewish organizations or Jewish individuals who are spewing anti-Israel views. Our schools must not hire anti-Zionist teachers. Our synagogues must not have anti-Israel rabbis. We cannot have members of our community allying with our enemies and giving them cover for their anti-Semitic mission to quite simply annihilate all the Jews in the Middle East. It would be another Holocaust. One more reason why we need to do this is out of respect for the students who are out there on their own, right? The students who are on these campuses, we have a few here, and who are confronted with these encampments and with these Jews speaking on behalf of us. We need to support these Jews who do speak on behalf of us. The world is upside down and we are all exhausted. And yet, for Ruby and Rachel, Ayelet, Itai, Hirsch, Naama, for all the other hostages and their loved ones, we must do everything we can to counter the lie that our dear innocent hostages deserve their fate. We must speak with one unified voice. Let my people go. אין דבר יותר חשוב מהחטופים, כלום. Thank you.